Nvidia has controlled the AI chip market for years. Every major tech company, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, has been completely dependent on them. But yesterday, everything changed. Google just made a move that could flip the entire AI industry upside down, and if this works, Nvidia will never be the same again. Before we get into what Google just did, let's talk about why AI chips matter so much in the first place. Because most people have no idea how important this is. Think of AI chips like the engine of a car. You can have the most beautiful car in the world, the best design, the best features, but without a powerful engine, it goes nowhere. Every single AI product you use, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Netflix recommendations, TikTok's algorithm, all of it runs on chips. Specialized, incredibly powerful chips that process billions of calculations every single second. And for the last several years, one company has had an almost complete monopoly on those chips. That company is Nvidia. Nvidia's chips, called GPUs, became the gold standard for AI processing. Companies were paying tens of thousands of dollars for a single Nvidia chip, and they were still waiting months in a queue just to get them. At its peak, Nvidia controlled around 80% of the entire AI chip market. That's not dominance, that's a stranglehold. And every major tech company in the world knew it. But here's what most people don't know. While everyone was talking about Nvidia, Google was quietly building something of its own. Back in 2015, when most companies hadn't even started thinking seriously about AI chips, Google began developing what they called tensor processing units. TPUs for short. These weren't general-purpose chips like Nvidia's GPUs. They were built for one specific purpose, running AI. Nothing else, just AI. For years, Google kept these chips entirely to themselves. They used them internally to power YouTube recommendations, Google Search, Google Translate, and eventually their Gemini AI models. Nobody outside Google could touch them. They were the secret engine powering the most used products on the internet, and they kept getting better, generation after generation. First gen, second gen, third gen, each one faster, more efficient, more powerful than the last. Then, this year, Google introduced their sixth generation chip, called Trillium. And this is where things get very interesting. Trillium and the challenge. Trillium is not just another chip upgrade, it is a direct challenge to Nvidia's throne. Google's AI hypercomputer can now deploy over 100,000 Trillium chips simultaneously, connected together in a network so powerful it essentially functions as a building-sized supercomputer. In performance tests, Trillium achieved 99% efficiency across thousands of chips working together. That is an almost unheard-of number in the semiconductor industry. And now, for the first time ever, Google is making these chips available to outside companies through Google Cloud. Not just for Google's own engineers anymore, for anyone. This is a massive strategic shift. Google is essentially saying, our chips are good enough to compete with Nvidia publicly. We're ready. And the market responded immediately. Meta's billion-dollar move. The first major signal that Google's chips were ready to compete came in February 2026 when Meta, the company behind Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, signed a multi-billion-dollar deal with Google for access to their TPU chips. Think about what that means. Meta is one of the biggest AI spenders on the planet. They have been one of Nvidia's most important customers for years, and they just publicly said, "We are diversifying away from Nvidia. We want Google's chips too." That single deal sent shockwaves through the semiconductor industry, because if Meta is moving, others will follow. Nvidia's stock felt it immediately. The market for Nvidia, holding the largest company valuation, dropped almost overnight as investors started paying attention to Google's growing threat.